According to the book review, this book is a modern feminist classic. A modern feminist classic, right? And just seems to revolve so much around men. I mean, crush the patriarchy or something? I don't even know, right? So she has the first book we'll be reviewing, right, and determining whether this is a book you should actually go ahead to read or not. So the book will be Drama Was Please, Ogadima, Ogadima, Ogadima. And I believe, because it's been a long time since I read this book, I believe Ogadima means everything will be fine or everything will be okay, right? So Ogadima is an African fiction book. It takes place in Nigeria. It's written by Ukamaka Olisakwe. So I'll just see it right here, see the cover right here, right? So Ogadima is a book about 17-year-old girl. Her name is Ogadima, right? And everything. She grew up in northern Nigeria. She lives with her father. Their mother abandoned them basically around I believe it's the Biafran wartime, abandoned them basically, right? So now she's done with her secondary school education. She wants to go to university and everything, and she's looking for admission. So she encounters a man who is supposed to help her with the admission, and at the end of the day, things take a wrong turn, right? She eventually does not end up going to the university of her choice, but she ends up in Lagos because of an unfortunate incident that took place and everything. She ends up going to Lagos to live with some family members. Her father actually sends her away because of the encounter that she had with that man, right? I don't want to give too much details, right? Because basically. So she ends up going to Lagos, and when she gets to Lagos, she meets a man, right? I don't understand, because according to the book review, this book is a modern feminist classic. A modern feminist classic, right? And just seems to revolve so much around men. I mean, crush the patriarchy or something? I don't even know, right? So she's living with her family members, right? Her extended family members. And when she gets there, of course, her father didn't tell the family members what happened to Ogadima and everything. And now, or maybe he did, and now her aunt is now pushing a man onto her brother, right? And eventually she gets married to this guy, and then eventually she finds out and eventually this guy is actually abusive, right? And the red flags, the pointers were actually there before they got married. But she was just like, she basically wanted to please her father. Right? But I don't think that's it. That was part of it, but it was deeper than that. I'll say, I think Ogadima needs help. I think Ogadima actually needs help. I think she needs help, right? So basically, let's just talk about Ogadima. So at the end of the day, she gets married to this guy. This guy is abusive. She has a child for this guy and everything. And then eventually one day she just ups and leaves, which is the same thing that her mother did for her. She just ups and leaves. And I think one thing that is actually important is that, before we actually get married and everything, because, everybody wants to get into a relationship, everybody, and today is Valentine's Day. It's Valentine's Day when I'm recording this thing, and really, Valentine's Day is not that deep. I mean, it's an amazing celebration of love and everything, but whatever, I don't know. So I think one thing that is just so important is that before we get married, right, because we have to understand that our marriage is not just about us, right? Because we're actually going to be bringing children into this thing. So whatever affects me, whatever affects my husband, whatever affects us jointly also affects our children. So at least for the sake of your children, develop yourself before getting married. Develop yourself before you have children, because you are going to just think about your children basically. So let's just look into some themes about Ogadima. So first off, let's look. Okay, so one point. Education is important. Agreed. Education is important. Yet you're more valuable than it. Education gives us an edge, right? But it does not actually define who we are, right? It actually just refines who we already are, right? So let's just look at this in relation to Ogadima and everything, right? So because Ogadima just really, really, really wanted to get an education, in the book, she made a point, she made a reference to the fact that she was not willing to actually wait another year before going to university. So that actually just prompted her to, take some certain steps, right? Because it prompted her to take some certain steps. I don't want to go into much detail for the sake of people that will go ahead and actually read this after, right? But you are more important than your education. You are more important than your education. Don't go and, in the name of education, go and kill yourself. I've actually heard a story about someone who actually committed suicide because of education, and really, 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 I don't know, but like, you are more important than your education. Education is just supposed to give you an edge. It gives you an edge, right? It means by which what is already inside of us can actually be developed, can actually be refined. If you don't get an education, you are still you, and you can still be great, right? You can still be great and everything. There are people who have not even, let's say they've not made it past primary school education, secondary school education, university education, right? And they have, succeeded in life. They've been great and everything. I'm not saying you should not go to school. Please go to school. Please go to school. If you have the opportunity to go to school, go to school. School is good. School is good and everything, right? But, it is not the center of your life, right? Whether you go to school or not, you are more than your education. You're more than your education. So in the name of education, OGADINMA actually made a choice which was not a profitable choice. It was not the wisest choice, right? Because she had an encounter with this man that was supposed to help them, and the book cover describes it as though she did not have a choice in it. But it was glaring to me that she actually had a choice, that she actually, relented, that she actually gave into it for the sake of her education. She was thinking, okay, and he's giving, for the sake of the joy set ahead of him, he endured the cross, despised the shame, and everything. But she was thinking of her education, and she was like, okay, well, let's just get it over with. God, I beg, right? So that was that, right? Okay, so basically the second thing that we're going to be looking at, the second point that we're going to be looking at, is that what is love, what love is, right? The Bible makes us understand that love actually endures all things, right? So what happened was that OGADINMA's mother actually left her when she was young, abandoned her when she was young and everything, right? So the thing about love is that love actually stays. Love actually endures even through hard times. I'm not saying hard times where they are beating you and everything like that, okay, there's financial trouble, there's trouble with this, just troubles and things like that. Love actually stays. Love is not actually going to flee at the first sight of trouble. If love flees at the first sight of trouble, you should know that that is not love, and you're better off actually just letting it go. So yeah, so okay, so let's just look at some other points which I actually wrote here as plot holes. Let's just look at it, right? So I think one of the things that it looked to me, because, and I'm just going to say this because the book cover said that, right? The synopsis said that she was raped. The person that was supposed to help her get into university, she was raped. It didn't seem to me like she was actually raped, right? Because it didn't seem to me that she was raped because of two things. First off, just like I mentioned, during the process and everything, where he was, compelling her, she gave in, right? And I think I was actually, checking the internet, the classifications of rape and everything, and it might still be rape, but if you actually read it, you can actually, just subscribe to me and just give me more insights, right? And another thing was that, I think that, if you are raped, there will be like trauma, right? I think, rape victims usually have trauma or something like that. But I guess, yes, it manifests itself in different ways. But like, I did not see any obvious effect of the rape on her, like no trauma, no side effects and everything like that, because she left Kaduna, or was it Kano, and then she was on her way to Lagos, yes, and then even when she got to Lagos, she was going to another man, right? And even though the book cover, I have so much problem rather with the book cover. The book cover made it look like, okay, that they forced this guy onto her. But I vividly remember when her uncle was asking her that, is she sure about this marriage? And she was like, yes, she literally consented to this marriage. So I feel like at every point in time, Ogadima was consenting. Ogadima was consenting to the rape. She consented. To the rape, she consented. To the marriage, she consented. Right. So, okay. Secondly, I wrote here the state of Ogadima's value system, because, even after she was raped, led to something, and the actions that she actually took, it raises questions, right? It raises questions about her value system, about how she was raised, right? Which is just, a pointer to parents. If there's any parent actually listening to this, just, with the help of God, just raise your children well, because apparently, children are the leaders of tomorrow and everything, right? Every person that we see, let's say in a leadership position, acting up right now, that person grew up under certain people, grew up under his parents, grew up under, his guardians and everything. So as parents, we should actually, just with the help of God, do a good job in raising our children, right? When we see our children are deviating, go on your knees and pray for your children and everything, right? So he actually just raised questions about our value system, that she did that kind of thing, and then there was like no remorse, right? And that was just something, and she was so determined to actually go along with the wrong step that she actually took. My God, this is well. And also, yes, I spoke about Ogadima's background. We know that her mother actually left her when she was much younger and everything. So she was actually raised by her dad. And it just raises questions like, if your child is able to do that, like, it just raises questions about how Ogadima's dad actually, raised up Ogadima, right? That was how he raised up Ogadima, because when she did that, even the next step that he took, he actually, like, I'm like, for real, is that going to solve the problem? Is that going to solve the problem? She has done the deed. Is that really the next step? It is well. And then, the foundation of, I already spoke about the foundation of, Ogadima got married to another guy, to Bina, right? The foundation of their marriage. Like I said, the book cover described it as being pressured, but it didn't seem like that to me. And then, I wrote here the necessity of good friends. I don't really have much insight into that. So the necessity of good friends. I feel like if Ogadima had good friends around her, they would have encouraged her in the way that she should go, on certain steps that she should take. Like when she wanted to, take an action, she would have taken it to her friend, and if she had a good friend, the friend would have advised her, at least, even if the friend does not even have any advice. Oh, Ogadima, let's hold hands and actually pray together. Do you get that kind of thing? So actually having good friends is so important. It's so important, right? So I just like you to ask yourself, do I have good friends around me? Do I actually have people around me that can actually, correct me, right? And if you are not, someone that, you don't like to take to correction, why? There are people that have gone ahead of you, people that can shed more light on your situation. Listen. Bible says that we should be quick to listen. We should be slow to speak. We should be slow to anger. Listen. You can actually save your life by actually taking somebody's advice, by actually taking correction. So please just try and listen, right? Yes. And this was another thing, right? So Ogadima got married, and then her husband ran into a series of trouble and everything. And one thing that just stood out to me, that just let's say irked me, that stood out to me, was that Ogadima, they identify as Christians, right? And nominal Christianity is such a thing, right? Okay, I'm a Christian by name. I'm a Christian because my parents are Christians, yet you're a Christian and you cannot just go and talk to God, right? So throughout everything that her husband was going through, he went to jail, his business suffered problems, he suffered losses and everything. And then there was no point that these guys actually held hands together to actually pray. And it's just somehow, to me, there was no point that she was, able to actually cover her husband in prayer. That was so wild. That was so wild to me. That was so wild to me, right? Because that was something. Okay, and I'd just like to point to the nature of Christ, how Christ is actually a deliverer, how Christ is a deliverer, Christ is a deliverer. So basically how Christ is actually a deliverer, because I feel like we just tend to take situations into our own hands, right? Instead of actually just giving them to God. But Jesus is literally saying to us, come, right? And, if there was any point where Ogadima would have gone to Jesus, because she identifies as a Christian and everything, she would have gone to Jesus and asked for help. Oh, I don't know what to do. I was raped and now I'm pregnant. What do I do? Take it to God. Take these things to God. Take these things to God, right? But there was no point in time that she actually took these things to God, and that was so wild. That was so wild. So I think the themes that this book actually addressed, one being feminism, another being religious wars, another being patriarchy, another being the military. And honestly, I did enjoy reading the book. I did enjoy reading the book, but it didn't satisfy me. Do you get that kind of thing? It left me feeling incomplete. It left me feeling unsatisfied. Like, there's actually more to this. Like, is this really how this week is going to end? Like, it just didn't feel complete, right? It just didn't feel complete. How we ended, it did not feel complete. Like, really, like, is this how this is going to end? Because this book is supposed to be a feminist classic, but I just saw Ogadima jumping from one man to another. Not really, but like jumping from one man to another. Because even after she left her husband, she ran to another man. She went to another man. So I don't really know how that was, being all feministic, if that's a word, feministic. I didn't really see that. That was feministic and everything, right? Like, really, because maybe the only point in time was okay after she left that man that she ran to. She got a job. She was learning a skill and everything. Learning skills is really, really important and everything. Please learn a skill. I also need to learn skills and everything. So there was a point where a man was like, to the people with her, they were ladies, and I was like, please keep quiet, something along those lines, and she stood up for them. So maybe it was that standing up for them that was the feminism move, maybe, because it wasn't giving modern feminist classics to me. I don't know, maybe my eyes did not see well. So I don't know, I don't know. Okay. Yeah. So I really, honestly, I made a point about our value system. I feel like our value system was so, what's the word, degraded, because she just kept on doing certain things. It as well. And her name is Everything's Going to Be Okay. I don't know if everything was okay. I don't think everything was okay with Ogadima. And I feel like she needs to address things from inside, right? Because things from inside. So, that's just a review of Ogadima. So should we read this book? I mean, you can go ahead and read this book, but when it comes to the question of, is this going to add value to me? I'm not sure that this is going to, really add value to you, make you start. I feel like you could, from the book, actually ask yourself a number of questions, actually see things that you should and shouldn't do. So you can actually go ahead to actually read this book. But basically, but it's not so high when we're looking at, the value that is actually contributing and adding to us on that scale. I think when it comes to that value scale, maybe I'll just give it like a 2-star, basically a 2-star. So this was Ogadima review. This was a review of Ogadima. So thank you for listening. Thank you for coming, right? And if you've read it, please just drop in the comment section what you actually think about Ogadima, right? What was your experience reading it? What were some lessons that you took away? Like, what did you see? What did you think could have been done better? And everything like that. So please just go ahead and just, drop your own mini review, basically, what you thought about Ogadima. See you when next I see you. Bye. Please like, subscribe, and share.